A single, secretive proposal is now rattling power centers across the globe. What's being quietly floated behind closed doors could redefine a Ukraine ceasefire, not as peace, but as a ticking time bomb. No longer just about guns falling silent, the plan reportedly hinges on countdown clocks, rigid red lines, and automatic retaliation. Under the proposal, any Russian breach could unleash a rapid chain reaction, culminating in U.S. forces entering the war within 72 hours. As diplomats scramble toward Abu Dhabi, the stakes have exploded. These talks aren't just about ending a war anymore. They risk igniting a far bigger one. According to a report by the Financial Times, Ukraine and its Western partners have quietly agreed on a powerful new ceasefire enforcement mechanism, one designed not just to deter Russia, but to respond automatically to any violation. The proposal transforms a future armistice into a step-by-step escalation ladder, with strict timelines and military consequences. The plan was reportedly discussed multiple times in December and January between Ukrainian, European, and American officials. Its central idea is simple but explosive. Any persistent Russian breach of a ceasefire would not be debated endlessly. It would trigger action. Phase 1 begins within 24 hours of a violation. It starts with diplomatic warnings and pressure, followed by Ukrainian military action aimed at stopping the breach on the ground. This stage is meant to contain escalation, but only briefly. If hostilities continue, the plan shifts to Phase 2. That's where the so-called Coalition of the Willing steps in, a group that reportedly includes several EU states, the United Kingdom, Norway, Iceland, and Turkey. Their forces would intervene to stabilize the front and counter Russian advances. But the most dramatic step comes next. According to the report, if Russia expands its attack or continues violations beyond that point, a coordinated Western-backed military response incorporating U.S. forces would be triggered within 72 hours of the initial breach. This detail has raised alarm across diplomatic circles. A fixed 72-hour escalation window effectively places the United States on a war clock, turning ceasefire enforcement into a near-automatic pathway towards direct confrontation with Russia. Against this backdrop, envoys from Ukraine, Russia, and the United States are set to meet in Abu Dhabi. The talks are aimed at exploring pathways to end the war, but the timing underscores the tension. Negotiations are happening while military contingency plans harden.
It needs to change. Our team continues to work closely with the American side to ensure that real tangible solutions for peace can be effectively scaled up. A meeting was held today with our delegation. The guys are already on their way. The meetings are scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday. It won't just be a trilateral format, but also our bilateral format with America. There are things to agree on and content that requires further work. On security guarantees, further work. On security guarantees, we are ready. Government officials are working on Ukraine's recovery and future development. Our teams are actively engaged in this. It is important that at this time, America also resolutely supports dialogue, all available opportunities for dialogue, and accordingly works with the Russian side so that Russian strikes, so that Russian terror does not disrupt what can be achieved. I want to say one more thing. Ukraine supports nations that value freedom and are truly prepared to fight for it. The entire world sees what is happening in Iran, the sheer number of killings, and how the Iranian regime has invested heavily in spreading war and violence throughout the region and globally. Ukraine will not forget even one of the thousands of Shahed drones that are striking our cities and villages, our people. We see
negotiating team. An agreement has already been reached for a meeting, a trilateral meeting at the appropriate level. This meeting will be held next week, as we've planned, on Wednesday and Thursday in the Emirates, exactly as it was last time. I have just spoken with Rustem Umerov. For tomorrow, I have scheduled a meeting to agree on the framework of our discussion and prepare everything. By Monday evening, the team will already be traveling to attend the negotiations. There will be many leaders, various official acts, and numerous important meetings. We are counting on the American side to be equally active, and this specifically pertains to de-escalation measures and the reduction of strikes. Much depends on what the American side will manage to accomplish in order for people to trust both the ongoing process and its ultimate outcomes, without a doubt. Today's Russian stance, undoubtedly. Today's Russian attack on a bus in the Dnipropetrovsk region is a crime, a truly egregious and demonstrative crime, which once again clearly shows that Russia alone bears full responsibility for this ongoing escalation. Evil must be stopped. My sincere gratitude to everyone in the world.
The second round of the security working group's discussions had been scheduled for last Sunday, but additional coordination of the three parties' schedules was ultimately required. And so it's already Wednesday, Thursday. Indeed, the second round of talks will take place. It will be held in Abu Dhabi. We can confirm this. We won't go into any specific details here. You heard the assessments, which were broadly conceptual from both sides, from Dmitriev and Utkov, regarding the fact that these were quite positive constructs and constructive discussions. Well, but generally speaking, you know that Dmitriev is specifically leading the efforts of this working group on economic cooperation. So essentially, these are the primary matters that fall within the scope of our colleague Dmitriev's responsibilities. Zelensky offers contact. Putin said they are possible in Moscow. This position, it remains quite consistent. We maintain our openness for negotiations, and as you see, work is being done by working groups. We welcome this, and we are ready to continue this work for a settlement in Ukraine. This is a very complex, multifaceted process. On some issues, undoubtedly, we have come closer because discussions and talks took place, and on some issues, it's easier to find common ground. There are issues where it's harder to find common ground. There, unfortunately, we cannot yet confirm convergence.